Welcome back to Easy English Talk Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Easy English Talk Podcast. It's really great to have you here with us today. And Priya, hello. How has your day been so far?
Hi, Ryan. Thank you. My day has been really nice, actually. I spent some time reading this morning, which always makes me feel calm. How about you? What have you been up to today?
That sounds lovely. I had a quiet morning too. Just some coffee and planning for this conversation. It's nice to start the day slowly sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely. Those slow mornings help us think more clearly. I always feel more prepared when I take that time for myself.
I completely agree. Now, before we dive in, I want to ask our listeners something important. Where are you watching or listening from right now? Maybe you're at home, maybe you're commuting, or perhaps you're just relaxing somewhere.
Yes, we'd love to know. And we also want to ask you something else. Is this podcast helping you improve your English and also grow as a person?
That's what we care about most. If this content is helping you, please let us know in the comments below. Your feedback really helps us understand what works for you. Today, we are discussing why chasing love always leads to loneliness.
This is such an important topic, Ryan. I think many people feel confused about this. They try so hard to find love, but somehow they end up feeling more alone than before.
Exactly. And if you're listening to this episode, you probably chose it because you felt this yourself. Maybe you've chased someone who didn't choose you back, or maybe you've noticed a pattern in your relationships where you feel empty even when you're with someone.
That's right. And what you'll gain from this conversation is real understanding. We're going to explain why this happens, what's actually going on inside your mind and heart, and most importantly, what you can do about it.
So if you stay with us until the end, you'll walk away with clarity and practical steps to change this pattern. This isn't just theory. This is about real life and real feelings.
Let's start by talking about what chasing actually means. Ryan, when we say someone is chasing love, what does that really look like? I think people don't always realize they're doing it.
That's such a good point. Chasing love means you're putting all your focus and energy on someone else. You're constantly trying to get their attention, hoping they'll notice you, text you back, or finally see your value.
And it feels urgent, doesn't it? Like you can't relax until that person loves you back. Your whole emotional state depends on whether they respond to you or not.
Yes, exactly. It's like your happiness is in their hands. When they give you attention, you feel amazing. When they pull away, you feel terrible.
That's the first problem right there. When you chase love, you're giving someone else control over how you feel. You're not standing on your own emotional ground anymore.
Right. And here's what's interesting. The more you chase, the more distant the other person often becomes. Have you noticed that, Priya? It's almost like chasing pushes people away.
I have noticed that, and there's a reason for it. When you chase someone, you're showing them that you don't value yourself as much as you value them.
That's a hard truth, but it's so important to understand. When you chase, you're saying, I need you to feel complete. And most people don't feel attracted to someone who seems incomplete without them.
Exactly. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident and comfortable in their own life. When you chase, you're actually showing the opposite of that.
So let's dig deeper into why this leads to loneliness. Why does chasing love make you feel alone? Even when you're talking to the person, texting them, thinking about them all the time, why does loneliness still show up?
Because loneliness isn't about being physically alone, Ryan. Loneliness is about feeling disconnected from yourself. When you chase someone, you lose touch with who you are.
That's powerful. Can you explain that a bit more? I think this is something many people don't realize.
Sure. When you're chasing love, you stop paying attention to your own needs, your own feelings, your own life. You become so focused on the other person that you forget to check in with yourself.
So you're lonely because you've abandoned yourself. You're so busy running after someone else that you've left yourself behind.
Yes, exactly. And even if that person does give you attention, it doesn't fill the loneliness, because the loneliness isn't coming from them. It's coming from the fact that you are not connected to yourself anymore.
Wow, that really shifts the whole perspective. So the loneliness is actually internal, not external. It's not about whether someone loves you or not.
Correct. You can be in a relationship and still feel deeply lonely if you're disconnected from yourself. And you can be single and feel completely at peace if you're connected to who you are.
That makes so much sense. So the problem isn't really about love at all. The problem is about how we relate to ourselves.
Yes. And this is why chasing never works, because you're trying to solve an internal problem with an external solution.
You're trying to fix how you feel inside by getting someone outside to love you, but that can never work because the emptiness is inside.
Exactly. And this is something that affects so many people, Ryan. They think if they just find the right person, everything will be okay.
But the truth is, if you don't feel whole on your own, no relationship will make you feel whole. You'll just keep feeling that emptiness no matter who you're with.
That's right. And this is why people often jump from one relationship to another. They think the problem is the person they're with, so they leave and find someone new.
But the pattern repeats because they're still chasing. They're still looking outside themselves for something that can only be found inside. It's like running in circles.
Yes, and it's exhausting. Chasing love is emotionally draining. You're constantly anxious, constantly checking your phone, constantly wondering what the other person is thinking.
And you're never at peace. There's no rest. Even when things seem good, there's this fear that it could all fall apart.
Because when you chase, you're always insecure. You don't trust that you're enough. So you're always waiting for the other person to leave or lose interest.
And that fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? When you're insecure and needy, people often do pull away.
They do. Not because you're not worthy, but because the energy of chasing is overwhelming. It puts pressure on the other person.
Right. They feel like they have to constantly reassure you or validate you, and that's exhausting for them too.
Exactly. So the relationship becomes heavy instead of light, and eventually one person or both people feel trapped.
So we've talked about the problem. Now let's talk about solutions. How do you stop chasing love and start building real connection instead?
The first step is to recognize that you're chasing. Many people don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're just being caring or showing interest.
So how can someone tell the difference between showing healthy interest and chasing? What are the signs?
Great question. If you're always the one reaching out, always the one making plans, always the one trying to keep the conversation going, you're probably chasing. Healthy interest is balanced. Both people contribute.
So if you're doing all the work, that's a sign. What else?
Another sign is how you feel. If you feel anxious when they don't respond quickly, if you're constantly checking your phone, if your mood depends completely on their attention, you're chasing. Healthy interest feels calm and secure.
That makes sense. So the energy is different. Chasing feels desperate. Healthy interest feels peaceful.
Exactly. And once you recognize you're chasing, the next step is to stop. But stopping doesn't mean playing games or pretending you don't care.
Right, because some people think the solution is to act cold or distant. But that's just another form of manipulation, isn't it?
It is. Real change comes from shifting your focus. Instead of focusing on the other person, you focus on yourself.
So you redirect all that energy you were putting into chasing and you put it into your own life. What does that look like practically?
It means you reconnect with your own interests, your own goals, your own friends. You start filling your own cup instead of waiting for someone else to fill it.
So you might start reading again, or exercising, or working on a project you've been ignoring. You invest in yourself.
Yes. And this isn't about making yourself more attractive to the other person. This is about genuinely caring for yourself.
That's an important distinction. You're not doing this to get them to chase you. You're doing this because you matter.
Exactly. And here's what happens when you do this. You start to feel better. You feel more grounded, more stable, more like yourself again.
And that changes everything. Because now you're not desperate for their attention. You're okay whether they respond or not.
Right. And interestingly, this is often when people start to notice you more. Not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely comfortable in yourself.
People are attracted to that energy. They're attracted to someone who has their own life and doesn't need them to feel complete. It's magnetic.
It is. But again, that shouldn't be the goal. The goal is your own peace and your own wholeness.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about self-love for a moment. This is a term people use a lot, but what does it actually mean?
Self-love means treating yourself with the same kindness and respect you would give to someone you truly care about. It means listening to your own needs and honoring them.
So it's not selfish or narcissistic. It's just healthy self-care and self-respect.
Exactly. It's knowing your worth without needing someone else to confirm it. It's being your own source of validation.
And when you have that, you don't chase anymore because you're already full. You're not empty and looking for someone to fill you.
Right. You're complete on your own. And then, if someone comes into your life, it's a bonus, not a necessity.
That's beautiful. You're sharing your life with someone, not depending on them to create your life. There's a big difference.
There is. And this is what real love looks like. Two whole people choosing to be together, not two empty people trying to complete each other.
So how do you build that self-love, especially if you spent years chasing and feeling not enough? Where do you even start?
You start small. You start by noticing how you talk to yourself. Most people who chase love are incredibly hard on themselves internally.
They criticize themselves, doubt themselves, compare themselves to others. That inner voice is harsh.
Yes. So the first step is to notice that voice and consciously choose to be kinder. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not enough, pause and challenge that thought.
What would you say instead? Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of, I'm not enough, you might say, I am learning and growing. Or instead of, why don't they like me? You might say, I am worthy of love, and the right person will see that.
So you're retraining your mind to speak to you with kindness. That takes practice, doesn't it?
It does. It's not easy at first because the old patterns are strong. But with time, it becomes more natural.
And what about actions? How do you show yourself love through your actions, not just your thoughts?
Great question. You show yourself love by setting boundaries. That means saying no to things that don't serve you, including relationships that make you feel small.
So if someone is treating you poorly or giving you breadcrumbs of attention, you walk away. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect.
Exactly. You walk away because you know you deserve better, and you're not afraid to be alone, because being alone is better than being with someone who doesn't value you.
That's powerful. But I think many people are afraid of being alone. They'd rather chase someone who doesn't really want them than face being by themselves.
That's true, and that fear is often the root of the chasing. They think being alone means something is wrong with them.
But being alone doesn't mean you're unlovable or broken. It just means you haven't met the right person yet, or you're in a season of growth.
Exactly. And being alone can actually be a gift. It gives you time to really get to know yourself without distraction.
I love that perspective. So instead of seeing being single as a problem to solve, you see it as an opportunity to grow, to heal, to become more of who you really are.
Yes. And when you use that time well, when you really invest in yourself, you become a completely different person. You become someone who doesn't need to chase because you know your worth.
And then, when love does come, it's healthy love. It's not desperate or needy. It's balanced and real.
Exactly. Both people are whole, and they're choosing each other from a place of strength, not weakness. That's the kind of love that lasts.
So let's talk about what happens when you stop chasing, but the other person still doesn't choose you. How do you handle that emotionally?
That's a tough situation, and it happens often. When you stop chasing and the other person doesn't step forward, it tells you something important. It tells you they were never going to choose you anyway.
So by stopping, you actually get clarity. You find out the truth instead of living in hope and uncertainty.
Yes, and while that truth might hurt at first, it's actually freeing, because now you can move on instead of wasting more time and energy.
That makes sense. It's like pulling off a bandage. It hurts for a moment, but then you can heal. If you keep the bandage on, the wound never gets air.
Great analogy. And here's the thing. When someone doesn't choose you, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's just a mismatch. You weren't right for each other.
But how do you really believe that? How do you not take it personally? Because rejection feels so personal.
It does feel personal, but you have to separate your worth from other people's choices. Just because one person doesn't see your value doesn't mean you don't have value.
So it's about their capacity, their readiness, their preferences, not about whether you're enough.
Exactly. Think about it this way. Do you like every single person you meet? Are you attracted to everyone?
No, of course not. Some people just don't click with me, and that's okay.
Right. And when you don't feel a connection with someone, does that mean they're worthless or unlovable? No, it just means you're not a match.
So it works the same way in reverse. When someone doesn't choose you, it's not a judgment of your value. It's just a matter of compatibility.
Exactly. And the sooner you can accept that, the easier it becomes to let go. You stop taking rejection as proof that you're not enough.
That's so freeing. So instead of thinking, what's wrong with me, you think, we're just not right for each other. And you move on with your dignity intact.
Yes, and you trust that someone else will see you and choose you, someone who is actually right for you.
Now, let's talk about patterns. Some people find themselves chasing over and over again with different people. Why does that happen?
It's usually because there's an unhealed wound, often from childhood or from a past relationship. Maybe they grew up feeling like they had to earn love, or maybe they were abandoned or rejected in a way that hurt deeply.
So they're repeating that old story. They're unconsciously choosing people who won't choose them back because that's familiar.
Exactly. Our minds are wired to repeat what we know, even if what we know is painful. It's called repetition compulsion in psychology.
So even though it hurts to chase and be rejected, there's a part of them that keeps doing it because it's familiar. That's difficult to break.
It is difficult, but it's not impossible. The first step is awareness. You have to recognize the pattern and understand where it comes from.
And then you have to make a conscious choice to do something different. To choose someone who is available, even if that feels uncomfortable at first.
Yes, and that's the interesting part. When you're used to chasing, someone who actually wants you can feel boring or wrong. Your system is wired for the chase, for the drama.
So you might meet someone who treats you well and actually likes you, but you don't feel that spark. Because the spark you're used to is actually just anxiety and uncertainty.
Exactly. You've confused anxiety with attraction. You think the racing heart and the constant worry means you're in love, but really it just means you're stressed.
Wow, that's such an important distinction. So part of healing is learning what real attraction feels like. It should feel calm and safe, not chaotic and painful.
Right. Real love doesn't hurt. It doesn't make you feel insecure or anxious all the time. It feels peaceful and steady.
So if someone is trying to break this pattern, they need to give themselves time to adjust to that new feeling, even if it feels strange at first.
Yes. They need to trust that calm is actually good, that someone being consistent and kind is what they deserve.
Let's talk about social media for a moment. Do you think social media makes chasing worse? I feel like it adds a whole new layer to this problem.
Oh, absolutely. Social media makes chasing so much easier and so much more painful. You can constantly check someone's profile, see who they're with, what they're doing.
And you can send messages instantly, check if they've read your message, see if they're online. It creates this obsessive checking behavior.
Yes, and it makes it harder to let go because the person is always there, always visible. In the past, if you wanted to move on, you just didn't see them anymore.
But now they're in your pocket. You can see them anytime you want. So the temptation to keep chasing is constant.
Exactly. And social media also creates this illusion that everyone else has perfect relationships. You see couples posting happy photos, and you feel even more desperate to find that for yourself.
But those photos don't show the full reality. They're just highlights, not the whole story.
Right. But when you're lonely and chasing, you don't think about that. You just feel like everyone has love except you, and that makes you chase even harder.
So what's the solution? Should people just delete social media? Or is there a healthier way to use it?
I don't think you have to delete it completely, but you do need to be very conscious about how you use it. If you're chasing someone, you should probably unfollow them or mute them so you're not constantly seeing their updates.
That makes sense. You create distance digitally, not just emotionally. You remove the temptation to check on them.
Yes. And you also need to limit your time on social media in general, because the more you scroll, the more you compare yourself to others, and the worse you feel.
So you replace that time with real-life activities, things that actually fill you up, like meeting friends in person, going outside, creating something.
Exactly. Real connection and real experiences are what heal loneliness, not scrolling through other people's lives.
Let's talk about vulnerability for a moment. Some people think if they just open up more, if they're more vulnerable, the person they're chasing will finally see them. Does vulnerability help or hurt when you're chasing?
That's a nuanced question. Vulnerability is important in healthy relationships, but timing matters. If you're vulnerable with someone who isn't choosing you, it can backfire.
How so? What happens?
Well, when you share deep feelings with someone who isn't invested, you're giving them power over you. And you're also putting pressure on them to reciprocate feelings they might not have.
So it can push them away even more. They feel overwhelmed or guilty.
Exactly.
Vulnerability should be mutual and gradual. It should happen naturally as both people show up and invest in the connection.
So if you're the only one being vulnerable, the only one sharing, the only one trying to deepen things, that's another sign you're chasing. Healthy relationships have mutual vulnerability.
Yes, both people open up at a similar pace. Both people feel safe enough to share because they sense the other person cares.
So the lesson is, save your vulnerability for people who have earned it. People who show up, who are consistent, who actually want to know you.
Exactly. Don't pour your heart out to someone who isn't holding space for it. That's not vulnerability. That's just hoping your feelings will change their mind.
And that never works. You can't convince someone to love you.
No, you can't. Love isn't logical. It's not something you can argue for or prove.
So what do you do with all those feelings? If you're chasing someone and you have all these emotions, where do they go? You can't just ignore them.
You don't ignore them. You process them. You write about them, talk to a friend, maybe see a therapist.
So you express the feelings, but not to the person you're chasing. You find other outlets.
Yes, because the feelings are valid, but directing them at someone who can't receive them just creates more pain. You need to honor your feelings without making them the other person's responsibility.
That's really mature. It's taking ownership of your emotions. You're not dumping them on someone else or expecting them to fix how you feel.
Exactly. And as you process these feelings, you start to understand yourself better. You start to see why you were drawn to this person, what need you were trying to fill.
And often, it's not really about that specific person at all. It's about something deeper.
Right. Maybe you're looking for validation or safety or excitement, and you thought this person would give you that.
But the truth is, you have to give that to yourself first. No one else can fill those core needs for you.
Exactly. Once you understand that, the chasing stops, because you realize it was never going to work anyway.
Let's talk about the moment when you decide to stop chasing. That's a pivotal moment. What goes through someone's mind when they make that decision?
Usually it's a combination of exhaustion and clarity. You've tried so hard for so long, and you finally realize it's not working. You can't keep doing this to yourself.
So there's a moment of surrender. Not giving up on love, but giving up on forcing this particular situation.
Yes. And that surrender is actually empowering. It's you taking your power back.
How so? Explain that.
Well, when you're chasing, you've given all your power to the other person. They control how you feel. When you stop chasing, you take that power back. You decide that you matter, that your peace matters.
So it's an act of self-respect. You're choosing yourself over the fantasy of being with someone who doesn't choose you.
Exactly. And that's brave. It takes real courage to walk away from someone you have feelings for.
It does, because there's always that voice that says, what if? What if you're giving up too soon? What if they were about to change their mind?
That voice is fear talking. And yes, there's always a what if, but you can't live your life waiting for someone to maybe, possibly someday choose you.
You have to live in reality, not in possibility. And the reality is, if someone wanted to be with you, they would be.
Exactly. People make time for what they care about. If they're not making time for you, that tells you everything.
That's hard to accept, but it's true. And once you accept it, you're free to move forward.
Yes. And moving forward doesn't mean you immediately find someone new. It means you rebuild your life and your sense of self.
You focus on becoming the person you want to be, not for someone else, but for yourself.
Right. And as you do that, something shifts. You start to attract different energy because you're putting out different energy.
So you're no longer attracting people who are unavailable. You're attracting people who are ready and interested.
Exactly. Because you're no longer available for half-hearted connections. You know what you deserve, and you won't settle.
Let's talk about self-worth for a moment. How do you actually build self-worth, especially if you've spent years believing you're not enough?
Self-worth is built through action, not just positive thinking. You have to prove to yourself that you matter by treating yourself like you matter.
So it's not enough to just say affirmations in the mirror. You have to back it up with how you live.
Exactly. You set standards for how people treat you. You walk away from situations that diminish you.
You honor your time, your energy, your body. You keep promises to yourself.
Yes. All of those things send a message to your subconscious that you are valuable. And over time, you start to believe it deeply.
So self-worth isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you build through consistent choices.
Exactly. And everyone can build it, no matter where they're starting from. It just takes commitment.
What about forgiveness? If someone has been chasing for years and feels ashamed about it, how do they forgive themselves? How do they let go of that regret?
Forgiveness starts with understanding.
You have to understand that you are doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. You weren't weak or pathetic. You were human.
So you give yourself compassion instead of judgment. You see yourself as someone who is hurting and trying to find love in the wrong way.
Yes, and you recognize that chasing is a learned behavior. You learned it somewhere, maybe from watching your parents, maybe from your first heartbreak.
So it's not really your fault that you developed this pattern, but it is your responsibility to change it now.
Exactly. You can't blame yourself for the past, but you can take responsibility for your future. That's where your power is.
And once you forgive yourself, you can move forward without carrying all that shame. You can start fresh.
Yes, and you can also forgive the people you chased. They didn't do anything wrong either. They just weren't right for you.
That's a beautiful perspective. So it's not about blame or anger. It's about acceptance and release.
Exactly. You accept what happened, you learn from it, and you let it go. That's how you heal.
So we've covered a lot today. We've talked about why chasing love leads to loneliness, how to recognize when you're chasing, and how to stop. We've talked about self-love, self-worth, and healing old patterns.
We have, and I hope everyone listening understands that loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being disconnected from yourself.
And the solution isn't finding someone to love you. The solution is learning to love yourself first.
When you do that, everything changes. You stop chasing because you're already whole. And when love comes, it's real and healthy because you're coming from a place of fullness, not emptiness.
That's the key. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cup first.
And when your cup is full, you're not desperate for someone else to fill it. You're peaceful, confident, and ready for real connection.
So if you're listening and you recognize yourself in this conversation, I want you to know something. You are enough. Right now, as you are.
You don't need to chase anyone to prove your worth. Your worth is inherent. It's already there.
And the right person will see that. They will choose you without you having to convince them. But first, you have to choose yourself.
Make yourself the priority. Invest in your own growth, your own happiness, your own peace, and watch how your life transforms.
Thank you so much for listening today. We really hope this conversation gave you some clarity and some practical steps to take. If it helped you, please let us know in the comments.
Yes, we love hearing from you. And if you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we're worthy of real love.
And if you're looking for more helpful content like this, we have many other episodes on the Easy English Talk podcast channel. Topics like building confidence, letting go of the past, understanding your emotions, and so much more.
Each episode is designed to help you grow as a person, while also improving your English. So take some time to explore our channel and find episodes that speak to you.
We are here to support you, not just with language, but with life. Thank you again for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care of yourself. You deserve it. Until next time.